Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I want to talk about the furore that's blown up over Boris Johnson's threat again to unilaterally breach the Northern Ireland Protocol. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news in politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So this is going to be very, very much unscripted from my point of view. This has just happened in a situation where it's Wednesday evening. You're going to want this to come out on Thursday. I'm teaching Thursday morning, so we're doing it live. It's not actually live, I'm still recording it. But in terms of how I go through this, and I just have to hope I don't forget anything. So there's a few things to unpick in this one. The PMQs video will still be out. That's just put towards 12 o'clock, and then the video that's going to be at 12 o'clock will be out tomorrow. So there's a threat. Basically, what the government have done is said, look, we need these grace periods to continue for longer than they're supposed to. There are supposed to be some grace periods, for example, ending at the end of this month. Michael Gove, in his role as the effectively Brexit minister, was saying, well, look, we'd like some of these grace periods to be extended for 2 or 3 years. It's like, behave yourself. That wasn't going to happen at all. Now, Michael Gove has effectively, as of a few days ago, been replaced by David Frost, the unelected cabinet minister that we now have. And he was known to have a harder line against the EU. So this may well be him chirping in Boris Johnson's ear. So Boris Johnson has gone down the, right, so we're going to unilaterally extend these grace periods for, I think it's for 6 months. Now, there's a couple of possible explanations for this. I'll go through how it's supposed to appear to begin with. So, government unilaterally extend these grace periods. The grace periods were a solid to us. They were a favour to us to give us a bit of time to sort ourselves out. They can't last forever. So, it's a breach of the withdrawal agreement, which means it's a breach of international treaty. That's all there is to it. It's a clear breach. The government, remember, admitted that it would be a breach last year when they wanted to breach, not in quite the same way, but with the Internal Market Bill, they wanted to breach the withdrawal agreement. So the political ramifications will be severe. Action will be taken by the EU. They have said as much. Maros Sefcovic, the Vice President and from the EU's point of view, the member of the Commission who deals with the Northern Ireland Protocol, has written something, and of course the United States will. I mean, the thing that's going through my head, and this is going to be sort of relevant in a bit, is Joe Biden, of course, if we will flip his lid. So what can the EU do about it? Well, in theory, this is a situation where it would go to arbitration. Now, these sort of processes, I don't know how long it would take. Bearing in mind, the EU were very, very clear when agreeing the Brexit deal that there needs to be robust systems in place because they did not trust Boris Johnson to keep to his word for any deal. So they wanted to make sure there was measures in place that allowed them to take action quickly. Arbitration does not seem to me to be a quick action, and it's really basically getting people around the table and coming to an agreement. It's not like going to court as such and getting a judgment that the losing side has to comply with. So what can the EU do? Well, we note that they have said that they will react using legal means in the agreement and the Brexit deal. The Brexit deal, I mean, that's a separate agreement. But what does the Brexit deal allow them to do? It allows them to take corrective action. Tariffs. So if the government go through with this, the EU, so if on the 1st of April they are not complying with the Northern Ireland Protocol rules, and remember there's new rules that have to come online on the 1st of April when it comes to GB Northern Ireland trade. If they are not complying with those rules, the UK government, the EU can say, right, we're going to apply tariffs to some of your goods. At which point the tariff-free trade deal is a nonsense. It sort of is anyway, because there are already tariffs on some British goods. They just try and downplay that a little bit. but there will be tariffs applied to things. And I've said this before, the EU are very, very clever about the way they apply tariffs in what is effectively a trade war, because that's what this would be, a trade war. Conservative MPs have been calling for a trade war with the EU. And again, I'll come on to that in a moment. I'm hopefully not going to waffle on too much. They are quite cunning about it. They don't just apply tariffs in a way that will do most damage to the other's economy. They specifically do it in a way that's most politically embarrassing for the politicians who are responsible and who could change it. So they will apply tariffs which will be newsworthy and which will hurt the key members of the government as far as possible. Now, in terms of what else this could be, because this has happened before, hasn't it? Boris Johnson, with the Internal Market Bill last September, threatened to breach the withdrawal agreement. It wasn't really a threat. He said he was going to do it. And then all of a sudden, he completely backed down. And he didn't back down because we'd got the deal. He backed down long before the deal. There was no reason for it. There was no change from the EU's position. He just did it. Why did he do it? We can only wonder, but there were a couple of things to bear in mind. If he hadn't have done it, we definitely would not have got a Brexit deal. Definitely would not have done. The second thing is, at that point, we knew that we were going to have a new president of the United States, Joe Biden, someone who identifies as Irish American. And here's the thing. Now, we look at this and presumably the Brexiteers who know no better will be thinking, this is absolutely marvellous. Yes, we'll show them. We'll show them. I wouldn't crow too quickly. I would be surprised. You never rule anything out with Boris Johnson. I would be surprised if this happens. I'll tell you what I think this is. I think it's exactly the same as last September. Boris Johnson wanted to buy time. I can't know exactly what his motives were for threatening to breach the Northern Ireland Protocol and then backing down. But I can surmise it. A lot of Conservative MPs were talking about challenges to his leadership. He wanted to put them off, so he said that he would just, breach the withdrawal agreement. That kept them quiet for a bit. Then he got to the point where he knew he was going to get the deal quite soon, so then he folded on that and gave everyone hope of the deal. Then he got the deal, and that has shut up a lot of those opponents. The same thing could be applying now. Not that his leadership is under particular pressure at the moment, he's doing quite well there, but there's an awful lot of bickering about the GB Northern Ireland trade. And it could be he may not ever intend to go through with this. It could be him just playing for time like he always does. Just saying a thing to get the opponents off his back. I don't know what pressure he is under in his parliamentary party at the moment over this. I know there's a lot of Conservative MPs who are calling for a trade war with the EU. They're calling for robust action. But I also look at the situation and think, would Boris Johnson go through with it? I think probably not. Again, without ruling anything out, probably not for two reasons. One, we've seen before, he will not do anything if there are going to be consequences he can't get out of. So he subverts all sorts of systems in this country. But you'll notice things like with the prorogation of Parliament, the Supreme Court said to the Prime Minister, look, you say you did it for genuine reasons. Fine. Can you sign an affidavit to that effect? In other words, Boris Johnson would have to just sign a document that would go to court. The reason he refused to do that is because if it were found out he were lying, he'd be in contempt of court, hauled off to prison. Same thing with the Benn Act, when he said he would refuse to comply with it and seek the extension in October 2019. He eventually did comply with it, reason being that if he hadn't, he'd have been in contempt of court because the case was taken to the Court of Session in Scotland, and the government didn't really lose it as such. It's just that the court said, we'll wait and see what he does. The implication being that if Boris Johnson hadn't complied with it, he'd have been found in contempt of court, he'd have been arrested. Those are things that he can't get away with. There's all sorts of ways of breaching the law he can get away with. Contempt of court, he does not. The same thing comes to international consequences. You know, he can't subvert international consequences. So if he feels he's going to face those, again, he's likely to back out. The second reason I say I think this is deeply unlikely, this June, he is hosting world leaders. That includes Joe Biden. He's going to be meeting Joe Biden for the first time. I don't think he envisages meeting the likes or welcoming as host the likes of President Biden, you know, the world, important leaders of France, Germany, other countries around the world as well, but in particular in Europe and the United States and Canada. I can't, but the United States and Europe particularly so, because they are co-guarantors of the Good Friday Agreement. And I don't think Boris Johnson fancies having to meet them when they're really irate with him. I do not believe he wants this to be an issue when they arrive in June. Assuming they would arrive, I mean, they may even boycott the event, which would be deeply embarrassing for his global Britain idea. So yes, very much kicking off. It's going to get very serious. No doubt in a few days I may have further thoughts when other things are said. But it's one of those things where I would just say at the moment, let's just wait and see. Inevitably, he will cause damage. Just the statement causes damage. Just saying it causes irreparable damage to our reputation abroad. But I would just think, not even wait till 1st of April. I mean, he'd have had to have gone back on that before then. I would just think there's going to be some interesting twists and turns this month, because if he does go ahead with it, he's pissing off the very people he needs on side. He is trying to kiss Biden's arse like you wouldn't believe. This is absolutely not the way to do it. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.